This is actually sort of surprising. Um, I had a feeling the emergency declaration wouldn't pass, but I had no idea it would be this many Republicans. So let's start off the article. It just skipped over. 12 Senate Republicans from different corners of the party banded together Thursday to deliver President Trump the biggest rebuke of his presidency, voting to disapprove his emergency declaration for the southern border. The Republican rebels joined every single Senate Democrat in the chamber in voting to block Trump's emergency declaration, which grants him access to 36 billion dollars in military construction funding to build border barriers. The vote brought together prominent moderates, Senators Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, and staunch conservative Senators Rand Paul and Mike Lee, who I'd argue are libertarians, but that's a separate story, as well as other Republicans who fall between them on ideological spectrum. The resolution also won the support of three of what is this? Won the support of three of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's most trusted advisors on policy issues, Senators Rob Portman and Pat Toomey, members of the Finance Committee, who are considered experts on trade and tax policy. Yeah, and I know how to sneeze with both eyes open. And Senator Lamar Alexander, an authority on a range of topics. Man, these guys don't know anything. It also won the last minute support of Senator Roy Blunt, the chairman of the Senate Republican Policy Committee and a member of McConnell's elected leadership team. Senator Mitt Romney, who has emerged as a counterweight to Trump in the Senate's freshman class, announced his support for the resolution Thursday morning, declaring, "This is a vote for the Constitution for the balance of powers that is at its core." His home state colleague Lee, who tried to assemble a last-minute deal with the White House to rein in the president's power under the National Emergency Act, said the White House is asserting authority to spend money, objects, and priorities in a manner not themselves directly authorized by Congress. Absolutely correct. Congress directly refused a request to appropriate the specific amount of funds that, while someone at the Hill messed up, that we're dealing with here, he added. The backlash against Trump was all the more pointed after days of lobbying led by Vice President Pence, Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, and White House Legislative Liaison Shahira Knight, who I'm not familiar with, that last one. Trump himself made a final appeal to Republican senators on Thursday, tweeting about drug smuggling and human trafficking at the border and asserting the constitutionality of his action. "A vote for today's resolution by Republican senators is a vote for Nancy Pelosi crime and the open border Democrats," he tweeted. He warned. But in a telling reflection of Trump's popularity with the Republican base, only one of the 12 rebels is up for re-election next year. Collins, who represents a state that Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton won in 2016. Another Republican facing re-election, Senator Tom Tillis, changed his position on the disapproval resolution moments before the vote. Tillis stated his support for the resolution in the February 25th op-ed in the Washington Post, but since then has come under pressure from conservatives in North Carolina, who warn he may face a primary challenge in 2020. That's real political courage for you. Senator Ben Sasse, who describes himself as a constitutional conservative, and warned in February that Trump's declaration could undermine constitutional checks and balances, also voted no. Sasse was seen as a possible yes vote, but he too is on the ballot for 2020 and could face a primary challenger on the basis of his up and down relationship with Trump. Again, all the courage in the world. Some Republicans, such as Marco Rubio, have made up their minds days ago, but kept their decision private out of defiance, out of deference to the White House and GOP colleagues who were trying to come with a compromise to avoid voting for the disapproval disapproval revolution. Rubio, however, a member of the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Military Construction, made clear last month that he had serious misgivings about diverting funds Congress had appropriated to rebuild and maintain military operations. Some Republicans who voted against the resolution fell under the radar in the days leading up to the vote. Senator Jerry Moran, who kept his position private, didn't participate prominently in the frantic negotiations of the past week to come up with a way to defeat the disapproval resolution, announced his yes vote on Thursday. This is pretty much, this article is never ending. I'll be reading this for another 40 minutes. But here's the list of all the people voting against. We have Alexander, Blunt, Collins, Lee, Moran, Murkowski, Paul, Portman, Romney, Rubio, Toomey, Wicker. So I knew Paul and Lee because they're they actually have some kind of basic level of integrity. I knew they would not vote for this no matter what happened. Um, And they're not worried about getting reelected every 5 seconds, which is rare in that party and in either party for that matter. Um, Romney was a little bit of a surprise. Murkowski and Collins, they're kind of to be expected. But they found themselves sometimes disappointing me as well. So I don't put them under one thing or the other. Who else in here is surprising? Rubio was surprising because he just doesn't strike me as the kind who actually cares about the Constitution. Wicker was surprising. Um, Maybe not so Moore, just because he was one of the few that voted to get out of Yemen. So unconstitutional war. I'm starting to get a higher opinion of him just from some of the votes I've seen. He might be in that same little appreciated libertarian group. But these are the guys. These are the people who said we don't care. Um, and what I think is so comical about this list is that these are all people who, thanks to voting for this, are going to get called fake conservatives, fake Republicans, fake blah 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 blah. But what gets me, right, is that when Obama tried to do the immigration, what was that? It was some declaration back in, I think, 2014. I recall people saying, you can't be the emperor, you can't think you can just go past Congress. And what the hell do you call this? This is I mean, these people, like their opposition, right, within their own party. So the Republicans that are pissed off at them, they really want this group to go along with an unconstitutional way of getting what you want, and to basically declare, "Hey, Emperor Trump, we will, you know, blindly go along with this. Screw having to, actually get something passed through Congress, some kind of law. No, this is a-okay." I mean, like, I keep trying to explain this to the supporters, and I'm really tired of the immigration topic because it's done this thing where it's basically consumed any and everything. Yesterday we had to vote on getting out of a war that we've been in for almost 4 years, or probably 4 years at this point, Yemen, and it doesn't get any media coverage. Fox, CNN, MSNBC, no one talks about it, but they drabble on and on about MS-13 and Kate Steinle, uh, all these different things relating to this topic, and I'm so sick of it because they've literally made it to where there's nothing else to talk about. Like, you would think that we shouldn't even call it Congress, we should just call this the elected officials in charge of immigration. Because that's all they do. That's all they talk about ever. Because the media acquiesces to that topic. And like I said, if he really was so serious about this wall, why didn't he try to pass it in his first 2 years? Now, if you tell Trump supporters that, they go, "Oh, well, it was Speaker Ryan's fault. It was McConnell's fault." But it's like, dude, how the hell did we get the tax cuts, which still suck, and don't get me wrong, but how did we get that? And how did the Obamacare bill, repeal bill, was it the American Health Care Act? How did that come up for a vote? Like, this is what I hate about trying to reason with people that I don't think are that intellectually prowess. You can't not blame the president for anything. They can't, like, they see him as this weird guardian angel that is just can do no wrong, and everybody who goes against him at all in just the slightest of ways, especially if it's something that's high profile, just gets lambasted. I mean, you saw that CPAC, you had Malkin bring up McCain and try to talk about the evils of Obamacare and blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, his plan sucked, and most people realized it sucked, even in Congress. That's why it failed. Same thing here. These aren't liberals or people who have any kind of love of illegal immigrants. They just don't think you should have an emperor president, um, and they especially don't think we should now suddenly be okay with the executive branch, you know, becoming the all-knowing form of government when our guy's in there, and then when it's somebody else, we're suddenly opposed. When there's a Democrat again, we're going to vote against that, or rather, we're going to be upset when the Democrat tries to do something unconstitutionally, but we're going to be fine when the Republicans do it. Like they know that that's how they'll be looked at. So this is actual political courage, but it's going to cost them. And I respect people on this list slightly more for just for this vote. It's not a. I'm glad that failed, and get a bill passed through both chambers before you want to beg for money or get your money.